Welcome back to GTNH and the Steam Mage Infusion run. I am approaching Apoapsis, and in the last episode, we worked on the alchemy lab, where I've been hard at work preparing for today's episode. It is year 8, day 347, or 729 hours into the run. Today, the real game begins. Procuring the plant life for today's episode wasn't easy, quick, or without incident. That was a weird bug report to write. Detonations by unholy plantiforms may cause spontaneous aspect transmutation in magical grains that survive the blast. But despite the difficulties, we eventually got these. While the homunculi grow, I've been working on expanding the lab structure, both above, with a scaffolding around the rainbow tree, and below, with a quartzite base glass, which I hope is sturdy enough for containment. The only way to know for sure, though, is to test. So let's turn off the safety lights. Wow, that was immediate. And we'll see if they're being funneled in properly. Excellent. Looks solid. So, after this Thaumonite batch, I think I'm going to turn in for the night. You want to help with the elementum tomorrow? Right, the guild trade deal. Thanks again, by the way. We'll investigate the mech wreck more when you're back. Sounds like a plan. Oh, sorry. Also, I checked, block breakers are still a bit too complex, but I think I have a workaround. Maybe a bit more thaumium. Ah! Ah! Can't keep living in a construction site. First thing tomorrow, perimeter defenses. So hungry. Need to make a new batch of... There's one still in the fucking... Get out of the way! Please. Why don't I just have normal dinners? I've got to have spares somewhere, please. No. What? Hang on. Yes? Okay. Yes! The lab has grown. Machines, working without my intervention, or intention, to build this, an artificial ecosystem of pipes and lumber. Mushrooms, drawing in aura from the world. We'll be harnessing that power next episode, but for today, let's get started with some construction. A fire-themed episode needs a fire-themed building, and there's no building more appropriate than the Infernal Blast Furnace, the purpose of that Thaumonite armor I was crafting last night. This lets me, barely, put one together. Our magic is limited, but it's sufficient. We are also able to harvest homunculi seeds for advanced cores that would otherwise be beyond our reach, so we can have wood hit our wood to get more wood. While they're hard at work, I'll be busy converting glowstone into eternal flame nitor. And when I'm not doing either of those, I'll be marking out the perimeter fence. Machines working in parallel. Next on our shopping list is amber. I'll be using soul sand to source the vinculum for this project, as we'll need the spiritus later. Spare saplings from the wood chopping operation make an excellent source of amber, and indeed our only. With those projects done, let's continue work on the fence. And the lamps that I'll be attaching to its top. Arcane lamps can light an entire chunk all at once, and excess V from this crafting project will be going into essentia tubes, spare rations, and next episode's greedy chest supply. I have a lot of things cooking, a lot of irons in the fire. Those flames also lead me to the one focus of illumination. By cutting, faceting, and etching a glowstone block, we can form a lens. It's the dawn of eternal light sources. At least, if you weren't already cutting glowstone in Nitor. Its portability and reusability in the field is the real advantage here. With this, the undead can be made to fight themselves. We just transmute them into this. Back to today's project. Plant life. This lovely little thing is a timewood sapling. It cracks bedrock with ease and accelerates time in a field around it. Not to mention, its leaves drop delicious clocks, which can be ground down for raw gold, hammered into hard sheets, hammered again into double thick sheets, at the cost of so many steel hammers, I might add. And with only a few more tools burned in the process, we have a storage upgrade. I'll be getting more into storage management in the next episode, but for now I have to sort all this by hand. Instead of doing that, let's make a curative vat. This will let me AFK safely, as currently, with my amount of warp, I could fall ill and die at any moment. With a tank of lava in hand and a dig site secured, it's time to get the rest of what we'll need for this next project. 3 dispensers, a bunch of cobblestone generation, and more redstone components that you are going to be seeing me crafting on screen right now. This was a project lasting months. For our world without wattage, this should be an impossibility, at least ethically. There's no reason to do a cobblestone generator this way. There's a method in witchery that would make it very easy. But as an alchemist, I've spent years studying this world and its laws, and now I have another way. The first machine I feel I can say is truly mine, a work of alchemical engineering that, despite its humble purpose, makes me feel this whole project is worthwhile. Let us enter the age of circuitry. No electricity required. This is a public service announcement. Always label your redstone lines. Know what they do. It'll make debugging a hell of a lot easier. I have limited redstone experience myself, but I understand the principles behind a piston-based blast chamber. There's a moment of vulnerability during a block's movement when they can be destroyed effortlessly, and one moment is all I need. Unfortunately, no amount of redstone timing saved me from occasional blocks of cobble forming in the generator. Eventually, I was forced to scrap it entirely. Better vanilla knowledge may have helped me make this one work, but much like aluminium, that's not a resource I have in high supply. Thaumaturgy provided the answer, as it so often does. A tally box, by default, observes the contents of a block, If we install a yield lens, however, it becomes an observer that knows a block's drops, and we can use it to detect the formation of cobblestone and react instantaneously. The full machine consists of 3 cells supplying 5 lines of cobblestone each to the central cobblestone flow. Each tally box will need a runic whitelist detecting cobble and a yield lens. So, cobblestone will be shifted from the cells underground to the surface for blasting. We'll need to ensure that the flow is constant, or this machine's already abysmal profit margins plummet. We'll install a backup clock. No, that's not right. How does this work again? Got a working cell over here. Hey. Okay, right. Redstone torch, so the clock only powers the piston when the cobblestone is in the cell and has not been pushed forward by the initial pulse. Okay. Grab some supplies. Oh, hello. I don't want these to be sticky pistons. Okay, thanks. Alright. I should probably make sure that there's not a bunch of flowing water next to my redstone. That seems important. Then we just need to extend this line very slightly. I might replace this with a copper bulb later. Save a little on my arcane stone bricks. They're precious, you know? Clock goes there. One more crystal down here. And, yeah, aside from the fluids, I think this one's done now. Just put my door there for now. Okay, I think we're ready to go. Should be ready to fire it up now. Cell 1, cell 2, also good. Yeah, see, she's already made a copper bulb one over there. There you go. Want something done right? Have your clone do it. Last time, I used jar seals to teleport waste essentia to a crystallizer for disposal. You remember thing 1 goes to thing 2, right? The specifics of how jar seals work matters for today's project. Each jar seal can establish a network or link to an existing one, and all linked jars share their contents and a buffer size of 64 essentia. Sealed jars have a stronger suction than an unlabeled jar and weaker than a labeled one. These are all very useful properties for essentia management, but for now it's the buffer sharing across distance that's the most useful to me. By using a jar for each aspect instead of one for every aspect, I can ensure a constant steady flow across links that would be impossible with tubes on their own. I can also read the network's buffer with a comparator and respond to it with redstone as I wish. For now, let's make a few seals for each primal aspect, and maybe a few extras of fire in particular. Both the Infernal Blast Furnace and the Elementum Refinery could benefit from an endless source of flame. I've refitted the thaumatorium at the heart of the laboratory tree with jar seals and changed its inputs. Now, instead of sugarcane, gunpowder, chiseled stone bricks, and greatwood logs, we can produce more thaumic shards from, theoretically, anything that contains the primal aspects and precantatio. This could be one item, or, more likely, several different ones. This is the core concept behind my alchemical refinery, and the network that it's meant to helm. Local production overflows into global buffers, and then other local production does work with the surplus it's being sent. More important processes will activate at lower scale, and less important ones will just have to wait their turn. It's a main bus with priority optionally grafted on, but the simplicity is its strength. Though we can't inject jars of essentia directly into the system manually, at least not on the main line, we can repurpose the jar seal we used for Herba last time as a slow way to flush the system. Now, our list of primal aspect sources can theoretically include aspects that aren't on the list as well. In practice, the plan is to have as few superfluous aspects as possible, and to ensure that anything that isn't being used in one place still has a use elsewhere. The essentia must flow. The factory cannot stop, or it will choke and die. Today isn't about the core though, just the fire that will heat it. Charcoal dust, by default, provides essentia in proper ratio for alimentum production. 4 charcoal dust becomes a pellet that burns 5 times as long as charcoal. But it is also ignis and potentia and perditio. If we could selectively spend some of these aspects, we could ensure that the others remain. Done properly, this is effectively an infinite source of these 3 aspects. Ignis we can consume in the infernal blast furnace. We'll install a jar seal here to allow global access to perditio. Now, the tree is technically linked to this system as well. Though, without other aspects being sourced, it won't be much use. We'll hammer the cobble into gravel, and then alchemize it into sand with perditio. Unfortunately, for the time being, I'm going to have to source all of the charcoal manually. It may be some time before we have another method. Without the ability to replant saplings, chop cores are going to require constant maintenance. So, in a lot of cases, it's going to be easier for me to just do this myself. I'll install a couple lamps and some tally boxes, so I'll be notified when I need to do work, but I can't say I'm thrilled with adding a non-infinite, non-automatic step to our infinite automatic production, even if it is a very occasional one. Speaking of infinite and automatic, we may as well install some harvest cores from our homunculi garden. With an Ordo upgrade, these will even be able to replant most of the crops we give them. Unfortunately, there are exceptions and they do matter, but we'll get to that in a little bit. For now, we'll just set them to harvest mana beans ad infinitum so that we can have a clean, ethical source of thaumium. One very unfortunate exception is the Rosa Arcana. Though our harvest constructs can harvest them, and indeed they can even replant it, it's not 100% automatic. Occasionally, for reasons unknown to me, the seed won't replant or it will be entirely lost. So, regrettably, we're going to have a more interesting solution to our essentia needs than farming 2 crops. Oh no. Woe is me. Let's make a map of the area, just for fun. Alright, with that distraction finished, I can finally make the Rosa Arcana. I'll just need a rose bush, some essentia, and we should be good to go. Ah, right. One batch of homework later, and now we'll be able to make the Rosa Mysteria. Back in the canopy of the tree, let's go ahead and install this crystal cluster block and its Rosa Mysteria. This will, on average, get us maybe 6 or 7 stacks before it inevitably fails. It's still a significant step forward. I no longer have to worry about my research point totals. Here, take this so you won't fade. And also, wow, good job on the spiral stairs. Double spiral's not an easy prompt, you did well. Thanks, it's a mess, but I'm proud of how it's coming along. Hard to work with all that racket, though. Yeah, sorry about the blasting. Cobblestone development isn't easy as it turns out. Here, let me get you a chair. Yeah, I've got a bit to go before my next break, so you can go ahead and have this. Explosions were loud, but that's not what I meant. Can you really not hear this? It's deafening. The heart. Anyways, next we need glowstone. Gleaonia is a thaumic flower whose pollen is replaced by glowstone dust. Alchemy needs a lot of glowstone, and the undead detest light, so this is a vital one to get. Plus, unlike the Rosa, I've never seen it fail to replant. It also resonates with the timewood hearts we harvested earlier, and will grow faster in response to them. This effect stacks, and that means we can treat glowstone as effectively infinite. This is the same case for mana beans, and the Rosa Mysteria for as long as it stays in the ground. After Gilly is Metallite, and the end of iron mines. This too resonates with timewood, though our hunger for iron shows the seam in our so-called infinities. Huh. Blood moon. An entire blood moon passed and I didn't notice. No zombies, no nothing. Has that ever happened before? Ever? Right. Last on our list of exotic thalmic plants is the nether tree. I've never got the cobblestone to be 100% effective, despite all my efforts. Elementum's too weak, and my knowledge of vanilla is just not up to par. If the timing fails, or if there's a significant lag spike, it won't be able to break the cobble. So I'll make sure it won't be cobble then. Nether trees will transform the land under their leaves into material from the hells. Most, if not all of these, are weak enough that Elementum can destroy them without issue. And if one transformation isn't enough, the machine will just keep trying until it succeeds. The resonance with timewood is a bit unstable, so this might not always be the case, but for now, even this can be accelerated by timewood cores. Up we go. And let there be light. Excellent. I'll just grab a bunch of these. With a generous pile of nether leaves in hand, we can install them at the very edges of the blast chamber as our failsafe. If I redesign the machine with these leaves in mind from the beginning, it could probably be much more efficient. But with LV in just 6 more episodes, that's unnecessary. As you can see, we get cobblestone, quartz, netherrack, and soul sand from it. Today, only the cobble is useful, so we'll filter that off for later shipping to the boiler room. To prevent dangerous nether beasts from spawning, we installed these blast-resistant obsidian thorns. Occasionally an imp gets through, but nothing serious. And here's a peek inside the wiring, with this bulb counter connected to a 7-tick loop. When full, it fires the elementum, and then 3 ticks later, the pistons. More cobble is brought up to replace it when the bulb is toggled back off, and the machine repeats. This gives our cobble cells below time to operate. The machine is actually 3 machines in parallel. A 5-block long line of cobble is pushed into the 5x5 blast chamber of the elementum, and in the ideal case, is broken instantly during the moment of vulnerability. If not, it'll be quickly converted into nether materials to reduce jam. The note blocks have been essential for acoustic monitoring during debugging, as I quickly found that the machine's worst jams were lag-based. Whenever a particularly bad spike hit, all blocks survived to blast unharmed, until they were being transmuted into fragile soul sand automatically. An occasional quartz lump or imp or something might get there temporarily, but they don't last long. Below, the main cobble line is currently set to constant flow. Our cobble cells send a constant 1x1 line down, which shifted into a 5x 1/5 line instead. This circuit still needs work, and the tally box should be a pulse, not a hold. I'll leave that fix to you, clone. This episode is long enough as it is. To actually move the cobble to the boiler room, I could have installed another long-distance pipeline, but I want more variety. Let's swap out the current hopper minecart for a gold chest cart. assume it's working. Let's head to the unload station. Yep, sure enough, there it is behind us, right on these nice, easily purchased, out-of-tier tracks. Why did I even do that? 4 gold ingots in a single clip, that's for cheating for my taste. Well, whatever. The unloader auto outputs to the side and sends redstone when its work is done. Easy automation. We only have 1 precious void jar, so for now let's repurpose it from Perditio to Potentia. The cobble we brought here is split, hammered to gravel, split again, and transmuted to sand. Sand transmutation is only done when the system has excess Perditio. The alchemical in the tree has first claim. It's been a long road, but this is the home stretch. We're procuring our charcoal through coke ovens. Enough coke ovens to keep a liquid fuel boiler at full tilt. Solar steam won't be enough anymore. The age of automation is well upon us, and we're a little behind schedule. A steam blender will let us mix glass dust from sand and flint dusts. The cost would have been a lot about 6 depleted ore veins ago, but at this point the biggest hurdle is assembly. The mixer will be getting some friends as well, starting with a steam squasher to turn Gilioniac glowstone to solid blocks. We don't have the production to keep it running flat out, nor do we need it. This compressor is really just an advanced method to delete extra sensus essentia by alchemizing glowstone powder out of blocks. The bonus blocks are pure profit from our very overproductive time-wood-accelerated fields. Iron mining is over, but we do still need to source our copper. We can use a fortune hammer to magnify yields, plus a macerator and bricked blast furnace for raw chalcopyrite. As for raw copper, that can be alchemically cleaned into native clusters, and then smelted in an infernal blasty. Either way, we get significantly more yield. I'm not ready to deep dive into metallurgy. We'll do that later. For now, manually batching some clusters and throwing them in the furnace is more than sufficient. We need copper, or a truly horrific amount of copper plates. 22 stacks, so 33 stacks of ingots. Next up is redstone alloy, and for those beginning to wonder, yes, this is in fact still a Steam Age craft. For you see, not only are LV circuits gated before the LV questline, I also got some community opinions, and have demonstrated in this episode that I can put together a crude circuit. So we'll be forging ahead, making redstone alloy and glass tubes. While those parts cook up, we need one more type of machine to finish today's project: auto-crafting. I could argue that LV motors are similarly Steam era, but while technically true, there's no need. A workbench designed for our constructs will help me, help them, help us all in the war on the undead. I've not actually had to research how these cores are made, but unlike the shop and some of the others, they should be well within our ability to fabricate here and now. Oh, hi. Oh, it's a no one. 1 second while I get you a tag. Tag? Tag? Why? Generally a soul is supposed to be in one place. I think ours isn't. This is a simple spell of anchoring. Ow! What the fuck? Sorry, that was a misfire. This is a simple spell of anchoring to keep you from drifting away again. I really shouldn't keep it loaded like that. Sorry again. It's strange that I felt the healing too. While my newest warp doppelganger has her inaugural existential crisis, we'll make those workbenches. One for now, and one for later. Our minions are fairly limited, only capable of single-type crafts, or limited to a 2x2 area. Both are constraints I'm sure we'll work around with enough time. The one we'll be using today is for crafting flint from 3 gravel apiece, for eventual mixing into flint dust. The first milestone of the Thalmic Revolution was cracking the infusion gate. The second was auto-alchemy. Today, is our third step on the road. Everything we've built today either draws its power from sunlight or leads back to charcoal. The aluminium, the cobble, the essentia, and these workbenches allow us to do single-item crafting recipes with ease. Those familiar with fluid transmutation and with Construct's attachable combat visors know exactly why I'm repeating myself. For now, it's an endless supply of flint for glass dust. That's a more than sufficient note to end on for me. All we need to do is give this little guy his new home. The first force capable of creating without my intervention. Artificial life. Where's that core? There you are. Good morning. Wakey wakey, little buddy. We have work to do, you and me. Make these, please. Look at you, you're a natural. A proud parent. It's time for the first ever episode review. Today, we observed the new magic lab tree. We secured a perimeter around the quarry. We used homunculi core seeds to grow new minions. We constructed a atomically powered glass chamber, which is now automatically producing 4 resources on its own. We started synthesizing the alchemical flames nitor and aluminium. We found an effectively endless essentia source. And we're auto-crafting flint. This production line will be producing glass, and with glass, we can make lamps. More arcane lamps, specifically. Eventually, enough to lock down the entire world in an endless field of luminescence. This is the project we've been... Oh. Hang on. We don't have circuits yet. Why am I ending the episode before the circuits? Is there something about to happen? Some sort of 2-point